Welcome back to That's Right. I'm your host, Chris Voss. Today, it's my pleasure to welcome Dr. Jemma Green. She's an entrepreneur and investor. Welcome, Dr. Jemma.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for being here. So, is it a ridiculous idea for you to share with our viewers a little bit about your business and your journey?
No, it's not ridiculous. In terms of my business, we have a company called Power Ledger, and we make software for electricity companies for utilities. And we set up the company 8 years ago out of Australia. And a year ago, we moved the company to Switzerland, where I now live with my husband, 3 kids, and our dog, and my business partner as well.
So you wanted in Australia? Is that why you went to Switzerland?
No, I mean, Australia is lovely, but it's very far away from our clients. They ended up being in Europe and the US, and with the young kids, like young family, traveling from Perth to those places, took a toll. So we decided to move the company.
Serve your clients better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right. So speaking of your clients, what are some common challenges that they face?
Well, utilities typically move at a very glacial pace. But there's a lot of changes that have happened in the electricity sector in the past 20 or 30 years with the introduction of renewable energy and electric vehicles and batteries, and also basically more intermittent sources of power, whereas electricity pretty much for a century had remained unchanged with large sources of power that are dispatchable, like coal-fired power, gas-fired power, nuclear power. And so that's presented a lot of challenges in the grid. And utilities, I think, are grappling with how to deal with intermittent power, which is basically, the electricity gets generated when the sun's shining or when the wind's blowing. And that means like balancing supply and demand on the grid is a big challenge. So I'd say that's the biggest problem that they face. And then consumers want to take more control of their energy as they put things like rooftop solar on their buildings. So they're grappling with customers that they used to just passively supply electricity to, but now they have to kind of reinvent and form like a new kind of relationship with as well.
Okay, so the essence of your business does?
So we make software that helps utilities create new products for their customers. So for example, we're working in Austria with a large electricity supplier there, and we've made a product called Energy Communities, which is peer-to-peer trading of electricity. So households or businesses or farms that have rooftop solar can trade their surplus energy with their neighbours or friends or others in the community.
Mm-hmm. All right. So what strategies do you use to understand the challenges that your clients face?
Well, it's changed in the 8 years we've had the business. Earlier on, and actually the chapter that I wrote in our book together was actually about a failure of us not understanding well the client. We were basically just implementing a project, and we didn't take the time to understand things like their strategy, how this project fits into their strategy, what's going on in the market, what's happening with regulation. So all those topics together, I think we lost a client like about 5 years ago because we didn't properly understand those things. So now we take quite a lot of time to see how is what we're doing with them fitting into their bigger picture. And I'd say the other thing we do is there's a lot of people that want to do a project with us that might be like a real advocate, but they may not have like a big mandate within their own company. So when we were earlier on, as a startup, you want to prove that you can do something. And then we ended up having lighthouse projects in many different countries, which proved our capability in different contexts. But there was a lot of complexity in the business. So now we just actually spent quite a lot of time understanding which are the markets that have the biggest serviceable markets in the near term, and started to get more focused. And we did that through conversations with our clients to more deeply understand them.
Okay, so it sounds like you use tactical empathy to navigate some difficult situations.
Yes.
How exactly did you do that?
Well, it's in a conversation and a lot of Zoom calls because when we're not always in the same place. And so we'd be asking questions. I use mirroring, accusation audits, different things that I've learnt from yourself and other kind of training that I've done around like recapping things, paraphrasing. So yeah, those things kind of to see if that's really getting to the heart of the matter for the client.
Yeah, the operational tools.
Yes.
All right, so that's right, is what people say when they feel heard and understood. It makes people feel like that what you just said was a complete truth, and that's when the relationship is really established with you. So do you have a specific time in your business journey where you could had a that's right moment that you could tell everybody about so that they could get a feel for it in their everyday lives?
We've got one that happened this week actually with one of our joint selling partners, and we have just been in the process of kind of level setting the relationship from being more like R&D and exploration to being more commercially focused. And we actually had to explain what was important to us, but then also hear what the concerns were from their side. And when I played them back to them and said, it sounds like you think the market's going to take longer to develop, and it sounds like you're concerned that the standards that we're setting now are a bit unrealistic. They said yes. Well, actually, they didn't say that's right, but the impression that I got clearly was that we got the message from them loud and clear.
Confirmation.
Yes.
All right, and that created a breakthrough moment.
It did actually, because there was a lot of tension in the conversation before that. And when we started to, and specifically me, started to do that with them, then you could feel the energy shift actually in the conversation, and it got much more collaborative. And then I also started to rephrase what I was saying to them about, like, you're not going to like this, or I'm afraid you're not going to like this, in terms of some of the things that we were saying we needed. And just setting those things up in the conversation also had a big impact on how they were received. And they actually said something which is quite funny. They said, I'm confused, because on the one hand, the message was kind of like hard, but on the other hand, it was delivered in a way that actually created more rapport.
Wow. All right, Dr. Jemma, if people want to learn more about you, they want to find out how to work with you, how would you like them to get in touch with you?
Well, if they're coming to Switzerland, they could look me up. But otherwise, we have a website, which is powerledger.io.
Spell that out, please.
Certainly. POWERLEDGER.io, which is like Indian Ocean. And I'm also on X, and my handle is at Ms. Jemma Green, which is MSJEMMAGREEN. And I'm also on LinkedIn.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. You're delightful. I know everybody's learned a lot from what you've had to say today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.